Hey, what is up, everybody? I'm here to give you guys my Read Aloud series for The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. Now, I know I have the AC on behind me, and it's probably a little bit tougher to hear me because you have the AC in the background, but I cannot do this video without the AC, or else, yeah, because it's just really hot right now, so I'm just going to get right into this. So, this chapter is called Tom's Confidence Betrayed, and it starts on page 151 and it ends on page 154. So I'm just going to get right into it. It's not even that long of a chapter. Like I said, this chapter is called Tom's Confidence Betrayed, and you can check out my Read Aloud series for chapters 1 through 21 down in the playlist down below in the description box. Fucked up. Bad intro. Now let me just get right into it. Tom joined the new order of cadets of temperance, being attracted by the showy character of their regala. He promised to abstain from smoking, chewing, and profanity as long as he remained a member. Now he found out a new thing, namely that to promise not to do a thing is the surest way in the world to make a body want to go and do that very thing. Tom soon found himself tormented with the desire to drink and swear. The desire grew to be so intense that nothing but the hope of a chance to display himself in his red satch kept him from withdrawing from the order. 4th of July was coming, but he soon gave that up. Gave it up before he had worn his shackles over 48 hours, and fixed his hopes upon old Judge Fraser, Justice of the Peace, who was apparently on his deathbed and would have a big public funeral since he was so high and official. During the 3 days, Tom was deeply concerned about the judge's condition and hungry for news of it. Sometimes his hopes ran high, so high that he would venture to get out his regular and practice before the looking glass. But the judge had a most discouraging way of fluctuating fluctuating. At last, he was pronounced upon the men, and then convalescent. Tom was disgusted and felt a sense of injury, too. He handed in his resignation at once, and that night the judge suffered a relapse and died. Tom resolved that he would never trust a man like that again. The funeral was a fine thing. The cadets paraded in a style calculated to kill the late member with envy. Tom was a free boy again. However, there was something in that. He could drink and swear now, but found to his surprise that he did not want to. The simple fact that he could the simple fact that he could took the desire away and the charm of it. Tom pleasantly wondered to find that his coveted vacation was beginning to hang a little heavily on his hands. He attempted a diary, but nothing happened during 3 days, and so he abandoned it. The first of the first of all, the Negro minstrel shows came to town and made a sensation. Tom and Joe Harper got a band of performers and were happy for 2 days. Even the glorious Fourth was in the same sense was in some sense a failure, for it rained hard. There was no procession in consequence, and the greatest man in the world, as Tom supposed, Mr. Benton, an actual United States senator, proved in overwhelming disappointment, for he was not 25 feet high, nor even anywhere in the neighborhood of it. A circus came. The boys played circus for 3 days. Afterward, intense made of rag carpeted, admissions, 3 pins for boys, 2 for girls, and then curse, circusing was abandoned. A phrenologist and a mesmerizer came and went again and left the village duller and drearier than ever. There were some boys and girl parties, but they were so few and so delightful that they only made the aching voids between ache the holder. Becky Thatcher was gone to her con- Constantinople home to stay with her parents during vacation, so there was no bright side to life anywhere. The dreadful secret of the murder was a chronic misery. It was a very cancer for permanency and pain. Then came the measles. During 2 weeks long, Tom lay a prisoner dead to the world and its happenings. He was very ill. He was interested in nothing. When he got upon his feet at last and moved feebly downtown, a melancholy change had come over everything and every creature. There had been a revival, and everybody had got religion. Not only the adults, but even the boys and girls. Tom went about hoping against hope for the sight of one blissful, sinful face, but disappointment crossed over, crossed him everywhere. He found Joe Harper studying a testament and turned sadly away from the depressing spectacle. He sought Ben Rogers and found him visiting the poor with a basket of tra- tracts. He hunted up Jim um, Hollis, who called his attention to the precious blessing of his late measles as a warning. Every boy he encountered added another tone to his depression, and when in depression he flew for refuge at last to the bosom of Huckleberry Finn and was received with a scriptural quotation. His heart broke, and he crept home and to bed, realizing that he alone of all the town was lost forever and forever. And that night there came on a traffic storm, with driving rain and awful claps of thunder and blinding sheets of lightning. He covered his head from the he covered his head with bedclothes and waited in a horror of suspense for his doom. He had not the shadow of a doubt that all his hub hub hubbub was about him. He believed he had taxed the forbearance of the powers above to the extremely of endurance, and that this was the result. It might have seemed to him a waste of pump and pop pomp and ammunition to kill a bug with a battery of artillery, but there seemed nothing in con Lucius about the getting up such an expensive thunderstorm at this to knock the turf from under an insect like himself. By and by the tempest spent itself and died without accomplishment its object. The boy's first impulse was to be grateful and reform. His second was to wait, for there might not be any more storms. The next day the doctors were back. Tom had relapsed. The 3 weeks he spent on his back at this time seemed an entire age. When he got abroad at last, he was heartily grateful that he had been spared, remembering how lonely was his estate, how companionless and forlorn he was. He drifted listlessly down the street and found Jim Hollis acting as judge in a juvenile court that was trying a cat for murder in the presence of her victim, a bird. He found Joe Harper and Huck Finn up in an alley eating a stolen melon. Poor lads, they like Tom. They like Tom had suffered a relapse, and that's the end of the chapter. That was definitely a pretty deep chapter. I thought there was some just nice deep stuff. It just kind of felt like Tom was just back alone again, and yeah, really enjoyed that chapter. It just kind of you could just see Tom. He's just kind of like sort of like in a depressive state because he just kind of feels like Nobody was there for him. Yeah, and it was a kind of a sad chapter. But that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you guys for watching this video. Please make sure you subscribe to this channel for more content, and make sure you click on the bell so that way every time I upload a video on this channel, you guys will get the notifications for it. Make sure you do the same for my CM Brothers channel, and every time you and click on the bell because every time I upload a video on there, you guys will get the notifications for that. I fucked up that, but whatever. That's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.